When I was about 15, 16, I had a 4-girl band. We performed in local shows. It was to do with the Polish community at the time. So I loved music. I saw West Side Story. I loved choreography. That really sort of inspired me, and I tried to get all the kids in the local club that we had doing these fantastic moves. But unfortunately, in those days, we didn't even have a record player, and the records, we had to do it all from memory. But that sort of started it all off. I've always loved music and art. But in fact, I read physics at university, so it was sort of completely different. I saw my first amateur show when I was married, back in the early 70s, and it was the most disastrous thing I've ever seen. The lead was Mikado, GNS. The lead was played by Nankipu. He must have been 70 if he was a day. And the orchestra consisted of half a dozen instruments, 3 old ladies on scratchy violins, a double bass player and a drummer, aged 16, who kept fiddling with his timps. And at one point, when we've been cringing about halfway through the performance, one of these timps he knocks over, which knocks a double bass player over, which the scratchy ladies go all into a fluster, and the whole thing grinds to an awful halt. And we exit thinking, we're never going to see an amateur show again. So I didn't have anything more to do with it for another dozen years or so. Went to live in Australia for a bit, came back, and a new neighbour said, oh, we perform at the local place in Farnborough at the time, and we're putting on Carmen. Would you like to come and see us? And I kept thinking these visions of Mikado, and I thought, no, it's my favourite operetta. I can't possibly. And she was very persuasive. And she said, well, join us, you love singing, come and join us. Oh, no, I couldn't, thank you very much, no. But then she said, oh, we're doing Camelot. Come and have a look. I thought, well, Sir Lancelot was always my favourite. In fact, William Russell, who played it on TV, stayed at our house for a while, and I got to know him, and I thought, oh, this is just tearing my heart, but I will come. And I was absolutely enchanted. All the principals were the right ages, and beautiful voices, beautiful scenery, costumes. Sir Lancelot looked wonderful. He was played by Ron Walker, who actually plays the caretaker in this show. He had a wonderful full suit of armour. I thought, wow. And when they said, would you like to join us? I said, well, I couldn't. I've never done anything like this before. But I joined the chorus, and we did Orpheus and the Underworld, and I didn't dare speak to the principals for about 7 years, I think. And I've loved it ever since. My entertainment as I was growing up was the cinema. And so we always went every week, maybe once or twice a week. And I loved watching films. I wanted to be in it. But my mother, who had been a fantastic singer in her youth, and in fact, I only realised that she had sung professionally after her death, when my sister showed me various photographs when I first met her, but that's another story. My mother always said, oh, well, you haven't got the face or the voice or the looks of an actress because you're not slim, blonde, and top soprano. So, but I always loved the actresses that had the comedy roles. You know, behind Ginger Rogers always stood another woman who had all the wonderful laughs. And I do wish that I had gone into that side of things. I was in a show here called, it was a GNS, Pirates of Penzance. And the cry came in December, just before Christmas. We haven't got enough people to do stage crew. Help. And the show was going to come out in March. We'd been practicing for 3 months and I was playing Ruth. And with my hearty crew of 50 sailors, we needed a ship. And so I got my husband involved. He built us a ship together with another guy from work that joined us. And the ship sailed on. We all got off the ship, did our bit, and all got back on the ship. It sailed off again. It was a wonderful production. And he's been in every show ever since. Yes, it takes a fair bit amount of time. At the same time, I've managed to write this summer my own musical. That was Paul's inspiration, really, because if he can do it, I can do it. I was asked to direct a passion play. I said, "Where's the script?" They said, "We haven't got one." So I said, "Okay, I'll grab a Bible and I'll start from there." And so we're going to put that on in March. As an amateur actor, you can be pretty awful or you can be fairly good. It does range quite significantly, but I think because I also belong to Farnham Rep, in which professionals appear, it's wonderful when you're standing at the lineup at the end of the performance saying goodbye to your audience, and somebody, although you've got professionals on either side, somebody comes up and says, "I remember you. You were Golda in Fiddler on the Roof 20 years ago." And you think, gosh, and you can still remember me. And another comment is, the amateurs are just as good as the professionals, aren't they? And yes, we don't get paid, but we put in just as much passion, time, and effort to try and make it as good as we can, because we realise that the audience is a paying professional audience, and they need to get their money's worth.